All right, folks, welcome back to another edition of Two Men in Black and White. It's an honest conversation, the only conversation where a black man and a white man get together, share ideas, discuss the future of America, and talk about the things we have in common, not the things that separate us or differentiate us or keep us in our own safe silos. I'm joined by my partner in crime, Brock Ganeles. Brock, the end is near, my friend. The big, ugly fucking bill passed this afternoon. Hakeem Jeffries, I guess he did all he could, 8 hours and 43 minutes on the House floor, ending with the famous phrase from Dr. King, press on. But we've got nothing. We've got nothing but misery coming. We've added about $5 trillion to the debt for the next 2-3 generations. And we are going to see more masked men in the streets than we have ever seen before because we now have, officially, a police state. There is nothing to stop Donald Trump from signing this massive legislation except a massive blockage of the arteries. That's all we can hope for at this point. What say you, my friend? Brock Ganeles joins us now from high atop the Hudson River Valley, overlooking the beautiful foliage. Well, it's all green right now, huh? Yeah, summertime. What say you, my friend? I just feel deflated, man. I'm trying to pick up the energy for the show, but it's hard.
Tough day, right? Yeah. We took another L, right? We're like another that. L. We're like that last place team. We're like the Colorado Rockies right now. We're in last place. We're 30 games out, and we're hitting the dog days of summer, right? And it's just like, how do you find the energy? Right. A couple of things. J.D. Vance would sign this bill as well, so even if Trump keeled over tomorrow, we wouldn't get ourselves out of this mess. The fact that, we're taking food away from hungry people. We're taking health care away from needy people, right? This is what American citizens are doing to each other. Mm-hmm. But I think the worst part of the whole bill is the fact that there's going to be a ICE, domestic military that's going to be larger than most countries, right? I see in people's statistics on it, larger than like Israel's entire army, right? Larger than most European countries' armies, a little bit smaller than the UK. And that's just a domestic force to run around with unmarked vans, masked, to, in essence, kidnap Americans and throw them into these deplorable conditions, and then for some of them deport them out to countries unknown that they've never been to. But what's going to come behind that, and why complacent white America is going to get their fucking asses handed to them, is yes, first it's going to be the brown people, then it's going to be the black people, right? Jews are going to be in there somewhere, but then it's just going to be anybody who gets on the wrong side of the government.
Yeah.
Then you're not going to be able to protest because you go out and protest, and now there's going to be 10x the National Guard that went into LA could go into every city anywhere, knocking at your door if they don't like your tweets. Somebody actually stumbles across one of our podcasts, and boom, right? We can get carted away by mass marauders because there's no due process. And rule of law is gone. That's the scariest element of this. And we just got the green light yesterday. And I guarantee that's the money that's going to get spent first, because that's the zealotry shit that Project 2025 loves. That's the white supremacy, we're, quote, cleaning shit up around here mentality. That's going to happen way before the Medicaid cuts are going to kick in and some of the other shit kicks in. Scariest part of the whole thing.
Yeah. Love to be a fly at the wall at the Heritage Foundation headquarters today and just listen to those smug motherfuckers celebrating about how they've, really picked on and kicked the shit out of the most vulnerable Americans. How they've upended a way of life that, we have known for the better part of 60 years. And now who knows what it's going to be. Mortgage delinquencies are up. Job losses are up. The economy is pointing in the wrong direction. Wasn't it just December, 6 months ago, when our economy was the envy of the world? I swore I read that somewhere. But yeah, Brock, I was taught and I learned in my household that this is not what Americans do. This is not what Americans do to each other. And, we're so busy being separatists and putting everybody in this group or that group that we can't see the forest through the trees. Think back, just the other day to that protest. What was it, Hungary? The Pride protest in Hungary? where they filled the streets for pride. And everybody else, we don't have that kind of national pride anymore, right? Like what happened to all that goodwill after 9/11? Remember when Americans came together after 9/11? And you only had a few jagoffs running around saying, let's get the Muslims, let's get the people that did this that are here. Now the people that did that, they were on the plains. They died in the commission of that horrific act. And then America came together. And all that goodwill has been petered away, slowly but surely, with the everlasting war and with the fact that we let a D- student carry us into anarchy and autocracy.
Look, we did the wrong war, so Bush and his team fitted away a lot of the goodwill by fighting the wrong war. Secondly, and then we had a black president, and the Tea Party came along pretending like they gave a shit about the debt, right?
Right.
Literally pretending that it was about fiscal economics and the future of the country from what they considered a balanced budget and what was right for future generations, but it was all horseshit. Right? It was all racism underneath, scratch the surface, and it could have been a Klan rally. And that's where it all went, right? And the rage machine turned on, and Fox News and Alex Jones and Rush Limbaugh, first and foremost, kicked into gear, riled up that America was being taken away because of the black president, and it, had lost its way. And it all started from there and rolled downhill from there and gets us to this point. Like, I'm pissed at white voters who have, always, kind of put crime too high on the list, put their pocketbook issues too high on the list, didn't want to fight culture wars because, what are we fighting for trans people for? What are we fighting for gay marriage for? This, that, and the other thing. Didn't want to fight the culture wars. And in not fighting the culture wars, Heritage Foundation won them all because they fought them, right? MAGA fought every culture war on every front, everywhere, every time, every second, wore America down. And now we get to this point where now we have these deportation forces that are just throwing, brown people out of the country. Yeah. And it's going to be black people, right? Because the Haitians are next on his list, and then it's just going to work its way to the next group and the next group. Because they got to fill a lot of prisons.
Yes.
Concentration camps, let's call them. They're going to have to fill a lot of them. They have the quotas, and that means less due process, just more people yanked off the streets.
3,000 people a day is the last number we heard. That number might go up as more tent cities go up.
Why would it go up as we build more facilities and hire more agents?
Right.
Of course the number's going to go up.
And what the number was, 10x the prison budget, federal prison budget? We're giving these guys $130 billion, right, to go out here and terrorize its own citizens.
Everywhere. No town's going to be safe.
Nowhere. Everywhere is going to be under the gun.
They'll be crawling every fucking where. Right? And they're all going to be Jan 6ers, right? It's going to be a whole bunch of white guys hired to do these fucking jobs, right?
And how does that help us with our numbers problem, right? White people still are not going to have more babies. Who wants to bring a baby into this environment, right? What new couple is going to get married and say, "Oh, let's have a child in this nonsense"?
Economics also. If it's unaffordable to even live, it's even more unaffordable to bring another life into the world, right?
No doubt.
So people are going to have to wait longer and longer and longer to start families because there's still, half of men are going to be living in the basement of the parents' house, right? So yeah, there's a lot of economic problems that go underneath it. But at the end of the day, Project 2025 was a white supremacy document. And this is, race driven. And just about every major element of the bill has an underlying racial issue to it, a racism issue to it.
And
that's a problem.
And Mike Johnson sits there as if, this is the most beautiful thing for America, as if Americans ran to this. Did he not see the polling information where 2 out of every 3 Americans who actually knew what was in it, who actually are paying attention, understand that this is bad for our quality of life. This is bad for our democracy. This is bad for our American families.
He knows he's lying. He's lying like so many, Christo-ethnic, white supremacists lie. In the white churches, evangelical churches, right? They're saying one thing and they're living differently, right? He's just saying the bullshit that he thinks he can sell America on, but he knows what's really going on. Of course he knows.
Right.
Right? I mean, he has his job because he's in favor with Trump and he has to play along with the MAGA. But he is like one of those religious zealots, so he believes that America should be different. So, like, deep down, this is the America, the direction he wants the country to go in. And we've allowed him to have that power. I mean, all of this is going to come back around to, what are we going to do about it?
Right. Right. And see, here's the brilliance in the bill is, a lot of this stuff kicks in right after the midterms.
Yeah.
Right. So if they get swamped, if they get swamped, right, they'll be back blaming the Democrats. No, this is the Democrats' legislation. Look, you voted these people in. This is Joe Biden's. This isn't Donald Trump stuff. And they lie continuously, so people actually start to believe it, which is the sad part. And then you've got
with this type of increase in a domestic military force, the likelihood of a fair election in 2026 just goes down more and more. What's to stop ICE agents from just being outside of precincts and not allowing, quote, certain people in and just having like a mockery of an election? Like I said yesterday, I don't think it'll get canceled, but I could see us easily having a mockery of an election with massive voter suppression, massive voter intimidation, and in the end, just the use of forces, not allow people to vote.
Right. Where's our John McCain? Where's our Alex Navalny? Where are the Dr. Kings, the Malcolm X's, those who stood up to the oppressors and said, this isn't, nobody's barking from the rooftops, bro.
No,
nobody's making a scene.
I know when you said earlier, Hakeem Jeffries was up there for 8.5 hours or whatever today, and he did, like you said, what he could do on the last day, which was really nothing. Once again, it's all symbolic. And I'm like, okay. But I was sort of like, well, Cory Booker's already done the 28-hour thing, so like I don't care if Hakeem Jeffries does the 8-hour thing today. So he delayed the vote by 8.5 hours. Big fucking deal. Does anyone remember like who may have like made Hitler for 8 hours in 1933? No one remembers the 8-hour delay. No. So it just got me to thinking again, like the leadership is not going to come from current politicians.
Nope.
And I don't think it has any chance of coming from the Democratic Party.
Me neither.
The party's led by Ken Martin. I saw him like interviewed on MSNBC. Like I saw a clip of him being interviewed. And I mean, he looks like he's the most boring, docile, like he's the least intimidating, inspiring guy on the planet. Like
Absolutely.
He might be a good organizational manager behind the scenes. I'm sure he has skill sets. But in the age of media messaging, he's not the guy. He's not the guy. Not even close to the fucking guy. Right? So it's just not going to come from the party. It's not going to come from people who are in a seat. It has to come from outside.
Right.
It's even the organizers right now who have done a great job of rallying some level of opposition, be it No Kings or Indivisible and the like, are still too institutionalized. Right? It's too much about coloring within the lines. Right. It's these proper, acceptable etiquette, proper displays of anger, right?
Yeah, play by the rule.
This is why white America is, I'm speaking for white America. They don't know that I'm speaking for them and that they need me to say this, but we have to have the black community out there on the streets.
No doubt.
Have to. Because the black community knows how to protest and knows how to get a little bit unruly and disruptive. And of
that's
course,
the key word.
Draws more disruption back at them also. Sorry, I know that means pain, injury, and
flashes.
And potentially death and dogs and fire hoses. I know what it means. And I know you can be like, shut the fuck up, white dude. You've never been out there and done that. When's the last time you got hit by a pepper ball in the fucking head? Okay, it's zero. And I've never tasted tear gas like that guy in LA who said it tastes like tyranny, right? Or whatever he said.
Right.
Autocracy, I forget his quote. I haven't yet, but I will going forward.
Yep.
And We
We have
have
to.
have the black community out there. It has to be a unified force. I know we'll get the Latin community out there because they're already out there, and as long as there's any of them still around, I think that they're, just from seeing some of the skirmishes they've been getting in with ICE tells
Yeah.
me they're gonna fucking be out there.
Yeah.
But we need Black America out there, and maybe the leadership even has to come from. I keep saying it has to come from a white American, but maybe it won't. Maybe it'll come from a Black American. You guys are just fucking better at this.
And we've been doing it for a long time, Brock. And here's the thing: we need a major disruption right now. We can't think of the momentum they have, Brock. Going into the 26th, we can't allow this momentum to continue to build into the 26th election because there's not going to be one. Right? The more docile we are, the more they feel they can get away with. Right? The more we keep marching in Pocatello and Las Cruces and Tucson, the more they feel like they can do anything the fuck they want in Washington. And the Heritage Foundation loves it because they're operating under the cover of Trump's chaos. That's why we're tweeting about Trump's call with Putin this morning at 10 a.m. and not talking about what the fuck the Heritage Foundation has on deck next. Now, we have the list. We just don't know which order they're going in, apparently. And by the way, the cruelty of this alligator Alcatraz is just disgusting because there was just a report, that came through. I saw it on YouTube not even an hour ago about them already putting human beings in there. Where's the food? Where's the running water? Where are the facilities, right? But one of your barriers is a natural preserved swamp, complete with the pythons that are overrunning the Everglades because they are monster-sized, upsetting the ecosystem. Oh, and not to mention the 10, 12, 16, 18-foot alligators that are out there, right? Plus the cottonmouths, the rattlesnakes, and everything else you got out there. So run that way if you want to. We'll say some nice words about you.
Do these places? Does a facility like this even have a plumbing? Does it have fucking plumbing? Does it have running water? How come in 10 days they slapped that? So what is it? Is it like outhouses? What the fuck is really going on in these facilities? This is a fucking disgrace, right? This is why I know the Latino community will be out there in a heartbeat, especially But, okay.
There's no phones in there. So who are you going to call anyway? Who are you going to call?
Who gets access to it? Lawyers? Anyone get access to anyone? Who's bringing in the food? Is there a whole food service team that's actually been hired that's bringing in food and water and keeping it sanitary and keeping fucking disease from not cropping up in the pooled water that's going to be on the ground? Is malaria? Something we have to worry about malaria down there?
Nobody's bringing shit. Nobody cares.
That's the real world consequence of America not giving a shit about other human beings in its own fucking borders.
Right.
But what I was going to get to is okay, I think I know the answer to this. I'll ask the question like an idiot. But is white America going to go to fucking parades tomorrow and eat hot dogs and watch bands go up and down the quiet streets of suburbia and then sit down in little blankets out in the grass and watch the fireworks and honor the greatness of America tomorrow? Is that literally what white America is going to do tomorrow, 24 hours after the worst piece of legislation in American history, the most racist, most classist, and most authoritarian piece of legislation in American history? White America is going to treat July 4th as just an awesome off day where they're going to go out and kick it.
Yep. That's what's going to happen, buddy. I got my HOA notice in terms of parking for the fireworks celebration. So, that's the plan. Let's get outside. Let's get our hot dogs. Let's get our Oscar Mayer wieners. Let's get the grill fired up, and let's celebrate 250 years of greatness.
Freedom and greatness, and we broke away from the authoritarian rule of kings, and we created the greatest nation on earth, leader of the free world, and the richest, most powerful nation the world has ever seen, with this phenomenal document that these geniuses wrote back in the day that's led to this amazing freedom that we've all enjoyed over the 200 and whatever amount of, how many years is it? 250, 249?
250.
250.
Yep.
And that's what white America is going to sit on blankets, and then you have some cotton candy and watch the fireworks go off, and then walk home walk home, and
That's it.
roll into the weekend. And just
Yeah.
thank God for
Get
America.
drunk.
God bless America.
Yeah, sit on your back porch there, have some of your fine scotch from your top shelf, grab a cigar, do what you do. But whose kid has to be snatched off the street? Whose kid has to be mistakenly identified at the bus stop? Whose kid has to suffer the inhumanity at the Trump administration for somebody to say, okay, fuck this. This is not how America is supposed to work, right? Like, what's the tipping point? We don't even know what the tipping point is anymore, Brock. Like no one is dialed in. Now I see a bunch of TikTokers and a bunch of IGers and a bunch of people on Blue Sky, but I don't see anybody in DC.
You know what the tipping point was going to be? You know what the tipping point could have been? Social Security and Medicare, the shit that white people have, and they
Right.
stayed the fuck away from those two
You
things.
see that?
They
You see
talked
that?
about Doji Must. There's a lot of talk about it. No,
Yep.
but it ended up with Medicaid and food stamps and Planned Parenthood and more fucking
All the
ice
brown
age,
people stuff.
right?
All the brown people stuff.
So the interesting group to watch, because there was already the first rural hospital in Nebraska already closed down today, just on the prospect that they can't keep it open with what's coming down the pipe. So they pulled the plug already. The one group to keep an eye on is what I call like the innocent white bystanders, right? Or rural white Americans who are basically getting treated like black people
Sure.
in this bill, right?
Yep.
They're getting their health care pulled away. They're getting their food stamps pulled away. Those, people in western West Virginia, mountains of West
Right.
Virginia, rural Nebraska already lost their hospital today, right? The plug's already been pulled on it. So it doesn't matter that their Medicaid hasn't been pulled yet. They got to
Right.
drive like 3 hours probably to get to the hospital, right? They're fucking
Right,
dead.
right.
They're dead on the way. They're dead on arrival. So like it almost doesn't matter whether they're going to get treated or not when they get there. So it'll be interesting to see. That was the same group that was riled up by the Trump stepping on the courts, right, and overstepping his bounds, and they were yelling at some of their representatives at some of those town halls about a month ago when it looked like we might have a tipping point coming.
Right.
And then all those town halls died down, and everyone cooled off and went back to normality. Right, we went back to normality.
And basically, what the Trumpster did was say, hey, let's give all your information to Peter Thiel instead. Let's leave the white folks alone because there's a lot of them that are going to be upset about this. Why don't we just give you all their information? You can create a database so we can monitor all their activity,
We'll deal with them later. Yeah. We'll deal
Yeah.
with them if we have to. If they get out of line, we'll deal with them.
We'll deal with them. Right.
Let's keep this focused on black and brown people.
Right.
Because the white people just sit in front of their TVs rubbing their belly, and we'll be
Fat
fine.
and happy. You're fat and happy, baby. I mean, it is what it is. And I don't know. You tell me. You're speaking for the white community. You said, they need us out there. You and I are the only ones having this conversation.
No, we need to get it to come from I'm just not banking on comfortable white America.
Right.
Like, they're just going to be the last to move. But I think they can and will move if there's enough action going on. They may sit home and sit it out and let everyone else do the work for them, but it might have to be done without them. But I think it's
right.
I think it's got to come from veterans, particularly white veterans, people who've actually fought for this country and fought for the freedoms. I think we need some real organizing from them. I think white America will fall in line behind something that's led by veterans who fought for them. There's a lot of respect amongst white people for
veterans, right?
For veterans, because white people know that those veterans are going fighting instead of them while they get to live the cushy life.
Right.
So it could come from that group to rile up the white America. I don't have that much hope in. It might come from rural white America. These white people that are actively getting fucked over. It's going to be hard to move them because it's a big social decision, right? It's a total rewiring of their brains and the way they've lived their whole lives. And you just wonder though, when someone who is that way, when they get fucked, sometimes the light bulb goes off and they really change. And we know how violent that group can be, right?
Right.
So we might need some.
Here's the problem with that, Brock. They've never had to deal with this before. So do they feel like they have the resources? Do they know where they begin? But that's why we need somebody to help them organize. And we need someone to help them say, we can't live. Think about it. Think about what I'm about to say. We can't live without our hospitals, right? Like someone has to say that out loud, right? And get folks fired up about it.
When you mentioned Navalny, that got me thinking, like, somebody who's not, I mean, we're almost back to what we were saying 3-4 months ago when we were talking about leadership and messaging. Is like somebody who is not in government, or maybe it's even someone who's in government today who steps away from government.
Right.
I'm gonna lead. I'm gonna lead a resistance movement.
Right.
You know, but we know, like, it's dangerous, right? Navalny ended up dead. Like Martin Luther King ended up dead. Most of these most of these revolutionaries end up dead. So I get it why not a lot of people are signing up for the job. But it's somebody who has the media skills, the communication skills, and the fire, and the following. And can inspire. So maybe it's someone in politics, they'd have to leave politics to do it. And say, I can't do this in the system. Like, because I'm just getting outvoted and the like, blah, blah, blah. Or it's just got to be grassroots and someone's just, you know, someone or some group has to come up that's disruption oriented, not procedural oriented. Like I'm laughing from 3 weeks ago, right? Oh wait, the protests have gotten up to 3.5% of the population. That means the regime's going to topple. And the study says, let me check the notes, 3 to 5 years. That's what the study shows. Like, okay, yeah, we got 3 to 5 years. Okay, we got 3 to 5 fucking years. You know, Erdogan took a democracy to an autocracy more than 3 to 5 years ago. They tried a revolution. He squashed it. He's still there.
Didn't work. Yep.
Didn't work, and it's no longer. So show me that, you know, like, to me, I don't want to see the fucking statistics. When it goes from democracy to autocracy, show me the record of it flipping right back over.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, Mark, look, we're going to have to take a broader role. I think we've talked about, you know, maybe doing some live events. Getting some other people just to join in and just tell us what they're thinking. Like I get the sense from being on Blue Sky, I get the sense that there's anger in the white community.
Sure.
I don't hear it. I kind of saw a good rally here in Rhinebeck 3 weeks ago, and I saw some energy, but was it anger? Like, I mean, I think it's got to flip over from it to anger, and it's got to be disruptive. Like, you know, we keep talking about it. It can't just be on the weekends and when it's convenient for people and in between Little League games and you know, a trip to the ice cream shop. Like, it's like, we haven't even fucking disrupted the economy.
Right.
Stock market's still ripping. You know, as much as Trump's trying to fuck it up, the economy's kind of hanging in there. Yeah, there was some boycotts on Target, and that worked. But like, you know what? Amazon Prime fucking marketing like banshees for like some fucking Prime thing that they're going to do for 4 days in July. How about if everybody just fucking ignored it?
Just said fuck.
It was a fucking bust. Like, is it that hard to do? You know, I mean, at the least there should be economic boycotts. But no, we need a firebrand. We need activity. We need to inspire some people, preferably younger, preferably multiracial, preferably several of them, men and women from different backgrounds, talking about a diverse movement. And talking about pro-immigration, a pro-diversity, a pro-wokeness vision of America.
Right.
And, you know, maybe the pendulum can swing back because it swung so far to the right. Maybe it can swing back.
Where are our young people, by the way? Haven't seen or heard hide nor hair. You know, once David Hogg, I thought David Hogg would go ham once they kind of ran him out and bum rushed him out of the organization, out of the Democratic leadership. I thought we'd see more from him. I thought Maxwell Frost seems to be trying to be a little bit of a disruptor in the committee meetings and such, but that's not enough.
He's on the inside. On the inside. Hey, look, I'd like to see Malcolm Kenyatta resign from the Democratic Party and just say, I'm going to lead an opposition. I mean, fucking Musk is out there saying that he's going to start a third party because he's so mad that he lost his fucking tax credits, right? And his Tesla sales are going to tank, right? I mean, no one's going to follow him because he's a fucking Nazi and he just fucked up America. He doesn't even understand how fucked he is and how little anyone cares. And the only people that used to care about him are MAGA, and now he's fucking, Trump's got a target on his back and he has no friends anywhere else. Like, he doesn't even fucking know how bad his situation is as a human being. not as an
Right.
economic guy, right?
Right.
He'll always have his money, but he has fucking no voice in the public
Right.
square.
Right.
His idea of a whole new party, but I don't even care if it's a party thing. I don't even.
Right.
This is
Right. Me neither.
This is a societal thing.
Right. And
This
this
is
is what kind of America, what kind of country do we want to live in? Do we want to have to ask permission to go on vacation? Right? But, I mean, where else are we headed? Like, we're going to have travel passes soon, right? I mean, they've got all our information. They know what we're doing. They know where we live. Jeff Bezos has given them all our addresses, right? So, I mean, what the fuck is next?
Look,
What's
anyone who speaks or acts out of line is called out and is intimidated and pressured. And the whole point is, we can't be Lisa Murkowski's, right?
No,
We got to be
not at all.
tougher than that. We got to stand up to it. It can't roll over.
Right.
Look, there's obviously courage comes with the masses also, right? It's easy to be strong and courageous when you see millions of other people being strong and courageous. So we're just going to have to find a way to encourage each other, but we're also going to need to be talking about a more disruptive game. It just has to be.
Absolutely. All right, bro, let's get together and celebrate again on the 4th tomorrow. Let's see how many hot dogs and hamburgers are on the grill. Fucking terrible. Just terrible. I'm so disappointed in this country right now. So disappointed. And I don't understand how these ghouls have taken control and destroyed our democracy. It's just...
I'm disappointed also, but I absolutely fucking understand it.
Right.
I mean, you do too, but
I understand it too. I just don't want to.
Guessed it, but I get it. Like, this is happening in other countries, right? This is white supremacy movement, right? This is a reaction to demographic changes, and this is a white
and a black president,
right? And a black president and a white backlash and changing dynamics, and this
and
is
the White House. Let's not forget the White House Correspondents' Dinner. He's still mad about that when Obama dropped the mic on him.
Look, we let a fucking psychopath who played to everyone's racism, because he's racist also, run the show. I mean, it's sadly believable. And not that surprising that this could happen in America when you really think about it. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you really stop and think about it. Of course, we didn't really think it was going to happen. But, like, when you look back in the history of America, we bullshitted. We told ourselves a lot of stories.
Yep. All right, buddy. Let's get together tomorrow and do it again. Got to stay loud and proud.
All right, Mark. Always a pleasure.
All right, my friend.
Okay.
Peace.